Hello, good morning. Welcome to ET Global Town Hall. I'm Nabil Khan. As the world grapples with the unprecedented impact of COVID-19 pandemic, economies are setting new norms for conduct of business and geopolitics alike, leading to a fast emerging new world order. Apart from pushing the world into a new era, it has also triggered reverse globalization or regionalization, new demand patterns, and emergence of new investment and market destinations. We just heard Sir Martin Shorell explain the holistic impact of business in New World Order. Now let me introduce to you one of the most prominent global business leaders and our keynote speaker for this session, Dr. Pawan Munjal, chairman of world largest two-wheeler manufacturing firm and India's one of the biggest multinational companies, Hero MotoCorp, having presence in over 40 countries around the world. Mr. Munjal, we are truly honored to welcome you to the ET Global Town Hall.
Namaste and namaskar. I would normally have said good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends, depending upon whichever part of the globe you are joining in from today. The Namaste greeting has become the greeting mode, new normal, and is just one of the many ways that lifestyles, economies, markets, and industries have changed all around us. The pace of societal transformation since January this year has made it clear that a new world order has emerged. The coronavirus pandemic has not just changed the game, it has also changed the playing field. Yet, this incredible degree of change is not new to this world. Humankind is unique in the way we are able to quickly adapt to the changing rules of engagement. When we look back at big milestones in history, there have been several paradigm shifting points in the past 40 years. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 that led to the unification of Europe, the rise of China as the globe's factory and trading hub, the financial meltdown in 2008, and perhaps the most significant, the increasing dependence on digital technologies and mobile and data connectivity, which have changed consumer behavior and thus impacted the global economy. What's common to these paradigm changing disruptions is their effects that far outreach our imaginations and plans. For example, I must say that I never envisioned participating in a virtual global event such as this one. Having said that, here we are, all of us wanting to grow and learn from each other. Industry leaders are very sensitive to the impact of disruptions. To me, it feels like a domino effect. We have all experienced firsthand how a major disruption leads to a string of aligned smaller disruptions, which then define the next phase of growth for markets and economies. This time, our whole world is having to face the same situation. This certainly has not happened in any of our lives before now. I feel optimistic about the next phase in our evolution because of COVID-19. An outcome to change is that those businesses that can align their operations with these transformations and trends are the ones that manage to be successful in a dynamic world. Another effect to change is that organizations with agility and connectedness succeed better than the ones who lack these vital attributes. I recall 2 years ago in January 2018, I was at the World Economic Forum in Davos, as also a lot of my fellow speakers in this town hall. The theme of the deliberations was shared future in a fractal world. The discussions were focused on driving international commitment for solving global problems and greater multi-stakeholder collaborations to address political, economic and societal changes. All of that resonates so true, if not with greater significance today, in this new world order emanating from the pandemic. We cannot be a fractured world. In fact, the world has to be more connected and a more holistic system. One of the fallouts of the pandemic has been the shift to increasingly nationalist government policies around the world, as nations attempt to protect their domestic markets and prop up local businesses. Yet, even what may feel like a restricted playing field, there appears to be a huge potential for businesses to grow as multinational entities, take advantage of these times through greater and increasingly more significant collaboration across geographies. Going ahead, I see this to be the new world order for business, togetherness, in the sense of connectedness and collaboration. What COVID-19 has clearly taught us is that, taken individually, our systems are not robust enough to protect us from new challenges thrown at us. Instead, businesses and economies stand to gain immensely through collective brokering solutions. Therefore, I believe the new world order will be all about collaborations and partnerships. How do we operate in our new world then? The idea of commonwealths has become very relevant as smaller economies see merit in them more than nationalist interests. Regional economic blocs can be seen around the globe today, such as SAARC, ASEAN, NAFTA, and BRICS. Similarly, the success of businesses in future will be determined by how effectively we learn to collaborate today. I envisage that whilst currently organizations who have the resources are wanting to drive M&A activity, I think it will not be long before instead of M&A, we may start to see C&C activity. By this I mean collaborate and cooperate. Collaborate and cooperate activity in order to survive, thrive, and stay relevant in our new world. In my own business, we have started to take small steps in this direction. We are doing this with our supply chain partners so that they do not get swallowed up in this current disruption. The degree of collaboration and mutual growth has to be of a much higher order than imagined before. As an example of what is possible, let's look at the growth of megacities in China that proves the efficacies of large SEZs. This successful model of building self-sustaining regional centers is an example of the roles large corporations can play locally, such as by making themselves more relevant to the local community, by working in cohesion with governments, by acting as social change agents rather than only profit centers for shareholders. In short, businesses will have to be sustainable value creators for stakeholders and for society going ahead. Sustainability is going to be a key factor in the growth of transnational corporations. This is a topic that is very close to my own heart. And we at Hero MotoCorp are making all possible efforts to set an example of sustainable operations globally through our operations and products. The pandemic has also brought health into focus, health of communities and of the planet. It is very evident that communities, countries, and even individual citizens are more inclined to do business with corporations that are sustainable and responsible across their global value chains. I believe this trend will continue to gain momentum. The next step of growth and relevance will come from building holistic, connected, and sustainable business operations to benefit both local and global markets and citizens. The coming generation wants us to take care of the planet. And as an example, we have someone like Greta Thunberg at such a tender age, fearlessly sharing her message. A fundamental requirement for connectedness is digital connectivity. Advanced digital networks will become the most important infrastructure in the future, the highway for all information exchange and business process outlays. Organizations that achieve cruising speeds on the digital highway will find it easier to adapt to disruptions and expand their archetypes of operations. The world of social distancing has also shown how important it is to have strong connections with peers, colleagues, partners, systems, and the general feeling of belonging. At Hero MotoCorp, we addressed this issue throughout the lockdown with constant, focused, and umbrella messaging to all our diverse stakeholders, ranging from employees, distributors, suppliers, partners, and investors across the globe. We had over 10 digital town halls per month for 3 consecutive months. We had platforms for connecting with families, celebrating successes and festivals, messages from celebrity brand ambassadors, and awards. It has been a holistic communication plan that made everyone feel like they were a part of this large Hero family. As businesses reopened post-lockdown, this strong sense of connection helped our operations to hit the ground sprinting. Another significant change in the new world order is how leaders lead. Organizations will need leaders who can galvanize and excite their employees, their customers, and their business partners. In the midst of widespread disruptions, leadership in volatile times is about staying true to long-term vision while managing short-term goals. What matters most for a leader is conviction of thought and the resilience and agility to respond to the ever-changing landscape, the ability to anticipate and respond, see the change, acknowledge it, and act swiftly. Staying nimble and proactive is critical when the winds of change are blowing hard. I can use a Hero MotoCorp example here. We set up a business continuity task force early on, and this team started developing business continuity plans for various scenarios as the conditions kept evolving. This has proved immensely helpful for us as we could scale up our operations and lead the economy out of this pandemic. I want to share an anecdote here. As a child, around 5 years old, I used to love eating candy. I'm sure all kids did. And the orange ones were my favorite. I would pick out the orange candy from the jar, and soon there were no more orange ones visible. One day, the jar broke and all the candy spilled on the ground. I saw a few of the orange candy, but I also saw purple candies that I had never tried before. A very important lesson that I learned that day. At times, you have to break down certain practices, processes, norms, and cultures to get a breakthrough. A breakthrough that will provide you with new solutions to old problems and often new means and routes that were previously unknown to you. So with optimism and hope for a better, smarter, and more empathetic future, I wish you all to stay well, be healthy. Thank you very much for listening to me.
So, Mr. Munjal, can you give us a sense, what have you implemented in your corporation that has worked and you would advise other business leaders to adopt that in a COVID era?
Well, as I just said, Nabil, clearly one of the most important aspect for us through these few months has been communication, communication, and communication. The other one, which is very important for me and my entire leadership team, is people, people, and people. I and the entire team have kept a very regular connect with our people. We have been giving positive energy. We have been spreading optimism. We have been taking care of everyone, their safety, their well-being, their families, and all that is clearly visible in how we are now seeing results. We have been, as I said, togetherness has been one of the motto through this entire period. Collaboration is the other big one for us.
So how do the business leaders move towards their global aspirations in a scenario where we see largely protectionism is being adopted, a lot of regionalism is happening, or almost deglobalization is happening? What is your message to the business leader? How do they aspire to achieve that in such a scenario?
My personal belief is this sort of attitude can only be a short-term attitude. This is not going to serve anyone in the long term. Without the collaboration going forward, no nation, no economy is going to survive on their own. No economy is a big enough market to survive. But in India, we have a huge market. Many of us have been focused on the domestic markets for a long, long time. We take our own example, but since the last 5-6 years, we have started looking out. We have started going global because we want not just the products to go out, we want the brand to go out, we want the Indian flag to go out of here. How long can we depend and survive on just one market? It's too risky. We have to spread ourselves across the globe.
How will you define the, Atmanirbhar Bharat? How will you define when the Prime Minister gave a call for Atmanirbhar Bharat? How do you define it? Do you think those companies run by Indian entrepreneurs should be called Atmanirbhar or Indian? Or you think somebody coming from outside India, setting up a manufacturing unit here, providing job, they can also be well called local companies? How will you see this?
My take of the Prime Minister's call about making the nation Atmanirbhar is to be self-reliant in every situation. Does not mean that you will not bring in anything from the outside, you will not sell anything to the outside. But in a situation where you are not able to bring in anything from the outside, you should be able to stand on your own 2 feet. You should be completely self-reliant. If you're not able to sell anything outside, you should have a market here. Having said that, all 3 options must be open to each one of us.
How do you see the global economy is changing in a new world order in terms of markets, in terms of consumer market, in terms of producing market like India, Vietnam and all? They were one of the biggest manufacturing hubs because of the low cost manpower. How do you see this scenario changing?
Clearly, what we are seeing in the current scenario is that some of the countries which were the focus of attention for the entire globe are now losing that focus because of some of the things that have happened over there. Over dependence of many of the economies, many of the nations on those economies, those markets is now changing. A lot of manufacturing is moving out of there into countries, into economies which are investor friendly, which want to bring in investment, which want to bring in manufacturing, which have the markets available, which have the ease of doing business. So you mentioned Vietnam. India has a very good prospect at this time to bring in a lot more manufacturing into the country. We are ourselves a very big market, and then we can become a market, a manufacturing hub for the globe. So many countries at this time do have that possibility. And I believe India is in a very good position to take advantage of the current situation.
Looking at the global trade war that is unfolding, be it US, China, or India becoming reluctant on China investment or working with China, but still we have huge import from China, be it automotive, be it pharma, or many other sectors. How do you think India can make itself capable on less dependent on China or other market like US, Europe also have huge dependence, as you also alluded to? What are the steps, and do you think that it is going to happen anytime soon?
Let me give our own example. Yes, we have been importing from China. Our import is not very large. We already in these few months, whatever we were importing directly ourselves, we have already created backups. We have already created alternate sources. Tomorrow, if we are not in a position to import from China, we have become Atmanirbhar. We have become self-reliant. And I'm sure a lot of other companies are also doing this. So this is what I mentioned about being Atmanirbhar. Be self-reliant, be in a position that you are not totally dependent on somebody else, but then be very pragmatic. Look at all your costs, look at what serves you best, and then buy from where you think it is best to buy.
Do you think India can become a challenger to China, and how soon we can become, and which are the sector you think?
To my mind, India can definitely become a challenger, but right now, China definitely has a long lead over us. To be able to put a number on how long it will take is not the right thing to do right now. Having said that, I gave our own example. We were importing from China, but today, if there's a situation that we cannot import, then we will not have to shut down our manufacturing.
If any country wants to be self-reliant, then what would be your message in terms of key policy changes that they should bring in, like India or any other nation, be it Europe or US?
Well, of course, top of the line would be ease of doing business. Create an atmosphere where an entrepreneur can put up industry very quickly, very easily, not have issues, not have problems, not have red tape, all of that stuff. Of course, that country, that nation must have the basic infrastructure available, must have the market available. So these are the few things which are very important.
Any specific message for Indian government? Because we have to encourage R&D, but we see that the incentive that was being provided for R&D has been already taken out. So how do you see that?
I'm glad you touched upon R&D and innovation. Again, I'm personally very involved with innovation and R&D. I'm personally driving it in the company. You are right. Industry must get the relevant support from the government. Companies like ours, individuals and entrepreneurs who are very keen on innovation, the entire world comes to India for innovation. For Indian companies to be able to innovate, do their R&D and engineering, all support must come forth from the government.
Thank you so much, Mr. Munjal, for joining ET Auto Global Town Hall. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. Thank you.